Okay, hello everyone. We are from group I1. We will give presentation about our project, which is test organizer. Let me introduce our groups. I myself is Julian Kurnianto, and there is also Evelyn, Jeremy, and also saya. Next. In the unit 1, we will first generate our ideas about the desk organizer through the brainstorming. Next, please. And here is our idea. This is mine, and this is Evelyn's. Next. And this is Jeremy's, and this is Saya's ideas. Next. And through the generation of the rational method ideas, we use some method to give the best output for this product. Next. And the first is the objective tree. As you can see, there is the 4 primary, which is the performance, function, appearance, and cost. And it will be branched in the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Next. And here is the establishing function, the transparent box, which is the input and output will be the same. Sorry, this is the black box, and this shows the problem that exists related to the solution provided. Next. And here are the transparent box, which is have the same input and output as the black box, but in the middle is more described than the black box. Next. And here are the diagram function, which has 3 main aspects. The first is the provides the efficiency of the storage. Second is the provides the protection, and the last is the provides neatness. Next. As for the setting requirement, it will be described in the table next. Here are the performance, product, cost, quantity, size, weight, and material and life cycle. Next. And here are the laws of quality, one of the method that we use. And here are the relation between the demanded quality with the quality characteristic. Next. And here are the relation between the functional requirements from the house of the quality. Next. And here are the technique and limit value analysis from the house of quality. Next. Here are the last is competitor analysis. Next. And here are the generating alternative. We make the 27 possibilities for the alternatives with the material ABS, wood and acrylic, manufacturing process which is 3D printing, cutting and injection molding. The glue types we use ABS glue, wood glue, and acrylic cement. Next. And here are the 27 alternatives that we found.
And I'm going to explain and talk about the Unit 2. In Unit 2, the result from the previous step will be evaluated and selected in order to get the final design, and the alternative that resulted from step 2 went through a certain evaluation instrument to obtain the proper final product according to a certain criteria. Next, please. Then this is the design concept evaluation and determination. First is the determination of weight criteria. Here are 7 criteria: cost, weight capacity, water resistant, product weight, lifetime, storage types, and appropriate size. And for this one, we compare each of the criteria to each other and which one is more important and which one is less important. Next slide, please. And this is the draft or sketch for the selected alternative design. For the alternative 4, the ABS is used for the product material, and the advantage of alternative 4 is the material is lightweighted and waterproof. On the other hand, alternative 4 has a different difficulty in the cutting process than the other materials. Then next, for the alternative 14, in alternative 14, wood is chosen as the material, especially pine wood. And here, indeed, that pine wood is a sturdy material, however, it's not 100% waterproof, and there is a possibility to get weather. Then next, as for the alternative 24, the material used here is acrylic. The advantages of alternative 24 is that it is strong and have a good durability. However, the material cost is too expensive. And next, this is the rating scale with 4 points. So here, we create a criteria and condition for each criteria that later on we will use in the next part, please. Okay, so for alternative evaluation matrix here, we comparing the total utility for each alternative. Then the total of overall utility value is obtained from adding the grade. Then the grade is obtained by multiply the weight criteria of each criterion by the score. And the alternative evaluation matrix is not filled by our member, but it's filled from other member, which is for group E2. Then later on, the final alternative chosen is the one with the highest utility value. The next one, please. This is the alternative evaluation matrix alternative 4, which using ABS sheet, and the total utility here is 166.65. Next, for the alternative 14, which using pine wood as the material, the total utility is 185.7. And next, for the alternative evaluation matrix alternative 24, which using acrylic as a material. The total utility score is 157.13. And for design, evaluation of alternative design concept, from all the data obtained, all the calculation, the alternative 14 is chosen as the final product because of supremacy in some criteria provided according to the alternative evaluation matrix. The final product gains the most utility points in total, and this one, which alternative 4 is chosen using the pine wood, which using cutting as the manufacture process and wood glue as the media to put all parts together. Next part. Thank you.
And then we begin to the step 4, where we detail the design. So we detail the concept of the design of how we do it or how we produce the product. It's like the design analysis, experiment model, and detail image. Next. The first analysis is the math analysis. So this is the basic calculation of each dimension from every storage parts. And then next. The second analysis is the physics analysis. We analyze how thick or how is the physical appearance of the parts. So how strong will the parts stand the weight of the objects. And then next. And then the last analysis is the ergonomics or the anthropometry analysis. So we rely on the size of the human palms from 30 different peoples from various age, sex, and weight. So the purpose of this analysis is to determine the size of the desk organizer. The next. And then by the data we collect from the ergonomic analysis, we test it to the data normality test, and this is the data we got. Next. And then also we test the uniformity and adequacy test for the data. So the purpose of the uniformity test is to ensure whether the data is uniform and not exceeding the control limits, and the adequacy test is to find out the number of the observations that will be done in the system. And the next. And then for these experiments, there are 7 objectives. So the first one is defining the tools and materials, and then defining the process, determine the process, like the way how the experiment will work. And then we document all the data, and then list down the manufacturing steps in detail so that it will be a guide for us to during the manufacturing process. And then collect the experiment result and store it into the journal and make the conclusion based on the experiment result. Next. And then the tools and material. For the tools, we use hacksaw, sandpaper to smooth the surface, and ruler for measuring dimension, and miser to smoothen the surface of the edge of the pine wood sheet. Next. And also for the material, we use pine wood sheet for the main material and Jigu to attach all the parts together. Next.
So here are our work steps. So the first, we draw the pattern of each part on our pine wood sheet, and the second is we cut the materials using the hacksaw based on the pattern. And the third step is smoothen the edge of every part using a miser and sandpaper. And then the next step is smoothen the surface of the pine wood using sandpaper. And then we assemble the two parts together using the G glue. And then we wait until the glue is set before attaching the next part. And the next step is repeat step number 5 and 6 until all the part is done. And here are our experiment results. So it requires 3 days of working. Cutting process required the longest time due to the hardness and the thickness of the material of pine wood sheet. And the final product of our desk organizer has the same size or dimension with the one our group designed in SolidWorks. And there are some changes in few detail due to the cost. So, and using G glue instead of wood glue, and also remove the drawer because no appropriate tools. And then the experiment conclusion. First, the material choice is crucial, and then the availability of tools also needs to be considered. And pine wood sheet is indeed cheaper than other option. However, it required more energy, time, patience, and accuracy. And if in the experiment process jigsaw machine is available, the time required to finish it can be shortened and a high accuracy cutting can be obtained. And here are the model. The detail image shows the design of desk organizer using SolidWorks. So here the left one is our orthogonal view in SolidWorks, and in the right side is the exported view in 2D drawing. And here is the animation of exported view. Yes, the last is component specification, which is bill of materials. So bill of materials is the data of all components or part that we use in production of desk organizer. And bill of materials shows different levels and part identification number, which shows the parent of those parts. And then component specification list. Component specification shows the name of each component, code, material size, amount of part, and assembly method used for each component. So here are the table. Okay, so that's all for us. Thank you for listening.
Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I want